B, but me, your man, Louie T. Welcome. You are in the lab room. Of course, I'm your host, Lou. Thank you for joining me. Week number 7 in the National Football League. This was supposed to be the game of the week. San Francisco 49ers at the Denver Broncos, but this wasn't worthy of the game of the week. The San Francisco 49ers didn't even show up in Denver. And I had already built in an excuse for this 49ers team. I had already talked about all the injuries and all the parts that they were missing and how it was going to be tough for them to go on the road in a potentially historic night for Peyton Manning in this game. It was just a lot to overcome, but fact of the matter is the 49ers never showed up in this game. And I could sit here and make all the excuses in the world for them. No Patrick Willis, Navarro Bowman, Alden Smith. You're dealing with injuries, no Culliver in this game. I can sit here and make all the excuses I want for you, but at the end of the day, you had enough players there to show up to play football and try to get a W, and you just failed to do so. And so that was a disappointing part. That's why I didn't even waste my time editing and making this a game of the week video when I could just go live and knock this thing on out, because this game didn't deserve it, because the Denver Broncos ambushed the 49ers, and the 49ers simply wanted no part of this Denver Broncos team in this game. So let's jump into it real quick. Not a lot to discuss here. This was a 42-17 throttling of the 49ers. So I'll make this short and sweet, just like the Denver Broncos did in this game. And so early in the game, 3-and-out by the 49ers gives the Broncos the football, and Peyton Manning goes right to work. You know, a 9-play, 57-yard drive. He's 5 for 5 on the drive, including a 2-yard Emmanuel Sanders touchdown. And so you knew right out of the gate, man, this was going to be a long night for the 49ers. If Peyton's hot like that and he's pursuing a record, and you're just going to let him move right down the field and get the first of 2 touchdowns, which he needs to tie the record, and a third to break it, then, yeah, I mean, it's going to be that type of night for you. And so it's 7-0, just like that. Then Phil the Boot, who has been probably the model of consistency in this league over the first 7 weeks, and his last 2 weeks have been huge for this 49ers team, knocking home 50-yard field goals like their 30-yard field goals. Misses from 51. In the altitude of Mile High, you would think he'd be able to boom it home, no problem. Well, he hooks it left, and so you give Peyton Manning and company, who already don't need your help, great field position. And of course, 3 plays later, Peyton Manning finds Wes Welker streaking down the sideline for a 37-yard touchdown. And just like that, boom, it's 14-0. You're down in this game, and Peyton's already tied Brett Favre for the most touchdown passes in NFL history. And so now you need the 49ers to respond. If you're going to show some life, now's the time to do it, because the crowd's involved. They can smell history, and you're already down 14-0 in case you forgot. So if you're going to show up, now's the time to do it. So Colin Kaepernick takes his team down the field, converting 3rd down after 3rd down, and Vernon Davis dropping the football like he always does. And despite the drops, Colin Kaepernick still gets his team down the field, gets them down to about the 5-yard line, 3rd and goal, and Anquan Bolden drops an easy touchdown. And that's when I knew that this is going to be a blowout, and the 49ers didn't show up to win this football game. They just showed up, period. And so they got to settle for a field goal. It's 14-3. And, of course, Peyton Manning comes onto the field, sets the record with a Wes Welker touchdown. The rest is history. Congratulations to Peyton Manning on his 509th. And he would end up with another touchdown to get him to 510 on the season, as he threw for 4 touchdown passes in this game en route to a blowout victory, 42-17. Congratulations to him for breaking this record. I don't think there's a more deserving quarterback of this record than Peyton Manning. He's been the most cerebral quarterback we've ever seen, a student of the game, and just a pleasure to watch over all of these years. And I couldn't think of a quarterback more deserving of having this record than Peyton Manning. So congratulations to you. And you know how I feel about Peyton Manning. You know how I feel about his place in history. I feel like this further cements that, but that's nor here nor there. We're not here to discuss that right now. The fact of the matter is they drubbed this team. The 49ers tried to make it interesting by scoring a touchdown later on in the second quarter to make it 21-10, but the Broncos put up 21 unanswered points in the 3rd quarter to put this one out of reach as they win this football game 42-17. This was really never a game. The 49ers did not show up, and like I said, when you come to Denver knowing that you have to play just about a perfect game to beat these guys because they're so well coached, they have a quarterback that's like a coach on the field, and he's so efficient, proficient, and cerebral that every opportunity that you give him, he's going to maximize it to the best of his abilities. They got playmakers all over the place: Emmanuel Sanders, Double Eight, Demaryius Thomas, Juice, Wes Welker, you name it. I even like Ronnie Hillman in that backfield more than I do. Uh, 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 I forgot Monte Ball. I like Ronnie Hillman back there more so than Monte Ball because of the speed element and what he brings to that backfield. I think it's more of an explosive backfield when he's back. If he could just stop fumbling the football, I think Ronnie Hillman is a better option than Monte Ball. I just think they got so many weapons. What can you do? So, and now the defense is better. You can't come there dropping passes and making mistakes, and you're already down about 3 or 4 of your best players to begin with. The 49ers didn't want to win this game. They didn't want to win this game. And so they dropped to 4-3 on the season. Broncos go to 5-1. Huge win for Denver. That sets up a huge matchup. And they got some help from Kansas City, who dropped the Chargers down. So now the Broncos have sole possession in the first place and have a chance to distance themselves from the San Diego Chargers in the AFC West with the win at home on Thursday Night Football versus those Chargers. So a huge matchup in the AFC West on Thursday Night Football between the Broncos and the Chargers. Meanwhile, 49ers watch that grasp on the NFC West slip away as now the Arizona Cardinals go to 5-1, and this 49ers team slips to 4-3 on the season. And both them and the Seattle Seahawks both have 3 losses on the season. So if they're not careful, I'm not saying that Arizona's going to run away with this thing, because I think Arizona's going to come back crashing down to earth at some point in the season. But you don't want to have 4 or 5 losses when Arizona decides to drop 2 straight or drop 2 out of 3. You don't want to have 5 or 6 losses at that point. You need to be ready to strike like a cobra when they decide to drop 2 in a row or 2 out of 3. You need to be right there to pick up the pieces. You can't keep falling and losing games this early in this young season. You got to pick it up if you're San Francisco, and this was a dreadful performance. This was a lackluster performance. This was hey, let's just show up, get our game checks performance, and go back home. Let's get on the plane and go home. This was pathetic, and you got to come much better than this if you want to be NFC West champions. Hell, you even want to make the playoffs, you got to play better than this. This was garbage. So that's going to do it for 49ers, Broncos. I thank you for joining me. If it happens in the National Football League, whether big or small, we cover it all here in the Lab Room. Come back and join me, as I've got plenty more games to break down in week number 7 in the National Football League. See you in a bit. Like the content? Want more? Sub up.